What's up, everyone? Welcome to Rex Engine. This is part 3 of a tutorial on the brand new enemy AI system. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to recreate a famous Super Mario Bros. Enemy, the Thwomp. So let's take a look at, I've got this guy already built out just to show you what it looks like in action. So this guy's going to hang out on the ceiling, and when the player gets close, they're going to slam down on the floor and try and smash the player. And then they head back up to the ceiling after a few seconds, and as long as the player is close, they'll keep repeating that. But if the player moves further away, then they'll wait. And if we get close, they try and smash us again. So I've got this one that's already finished up here, and I'm just going to leave this up here as a reference while we build out a fresh copy down here. So I'll keep referring to that one over the course of this video. So this one here, it's blank. It's got no AI so far. I'm just going to click on Tools, Rex Engine, Add AI to give ourselves a fresh new AI routine. So the first thing we want is this guy needs to be reactive. When the player gets near, he needs to slam down on the floor. So I'm going to add a new event using the Add Event button. And let's do a distance event. I'm going to rename this Descend when player is near, just for organization's sake. And on this distance event, we're going to target the player. We only care about the X dimension. We want it to be when the player comes within a certain distance, and let's say within a distance of 3. This guy will try and slam down on the floor. And then under the actions, let's change this from a toggle sequence action to a change physics action. And this should let this guy slam down to the floor. So there's lots of options here, but the one that we want is set movement. So if I click on that, we get even more options, and I'm going to click on set velocity Y to -10, or let's say -20 even. And that should make the guy slam down into the floor as soon as the player gets close. There we go. So as we can see, he slams into the floor, and because we don't have any other actions yet, he just kind of stays there. So we want this guy, once he's hit the floor, we want him to wait for a couple seconds and then go back up to the ceiling. So that sounds like what we want there is a sequence. So I'm going to add a new sequence. I'm going to name this Ascend to Ceiling sequence. Let's see, loop type. This does not need to loop. Let's have him wait for 2 seconds. Click on Add Action to add a second one. And again, if you guys want more details on any of these things, the previous 2 videos go into much more depth from like a foundational level. So we've got him waiting 2 seconds. And then let's do change physics. And this is going to be just the equal and opposite of what we did last time. So we'll do set movement, set velocity Y. And let's have him float up to the ceiling a little bit more slowly than when he slams down. So we've got the sequence, but one thing we'll notice is right now the sequence is set to be the starting sequence, which means he's going to, when this thing first starts, he's going to do this. And we don't actually want that. We don't want the sequence to happen until after he's already on the floor. So I'm going to set the starting sequence to none. And then I'm going to play the sequence once he hits the floor, and only once he hits the floor, he should start this new Ascends to Ceiling sequence. So to do that, we want to set up one more event. So we'll click on AI Routine, click on Add Event, and this one's going to be a physics event. So I'll click on this new physics event, and I'll rename it On Hit Floor. set it so it's not enabled at the start. And this event is going to be when the physics collide with the floor. Then we can play our ascends to ceiling sequence. Let's make sure this one's not enabled at the start, and this one also should not become enabled until this guy starts descending toward the player. So I'm going to add an action on the descend sequence, and I'm going to change that to toggle event, and I'll drag the on-hit floor event onto that. Okay, so now what we should have is that as soon as this guy hits the floor, he should now play the ascend sequence, where he waits 2 seconds and then rises back up to the ceiling. There we go. And so all that's left to do on this guy is to make him, we can see now, even if we get close, he's not going to smash us again, because events disable themselves once they play once. So we need to re-enable the event that makes him smash us in the first place. So let's add one last event here. Go to AI routine, add event, physics, and I'm going to call this one on hit ceiling. And what we'll do here is when he collides with the ceiling, then we can toggle another sequence to play. And this other sequence, which we'll add in a second, I'll just call that repeat sequence. And this one is going to wait 2 seconds and then re-enable the original event, the descend event. So when he hits the ceiling, we'll make it so it plays the repeat sequence. So there's a couple of different things that look like they're kind of going back and forth. There's a little bit to keep track of, but hopefully you guys are with me and this feels straightforward enough. So what we should see now is that, oh, and also we don't want on hit ceiling to be enabled at the start because he's already on the ceiling. So let's only enable that once he hits the floor. Okay, let's see if this guy is doing what we need him to do. So we get close, and he falls. He rises back up. And we got ourselves a Thwomp, ladies and gentlemen. And now if I move away, he's going to stop. And if we get close, he's going to fall again. So most of the complexity here just comes from making sure that certain events are disabled at the start and then enabling those only when it's time to perform that check. So for example, like we don't want this thing checking to see if it's touching the ceiling originally. And so we're going to have certain things turned off. We're going to have this on hit ceiling event turned off at the start. And then we only turn that on when it's time for it to check again. So let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions about that. I realize there's a couple things that go back and forth that may seem a little complex, but overall, hopefully that got the point across and we've got ourselves a Thwomp. So be sure to check back for the next video where we are going to start going into a boss battle. And I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you next time.